right, well, welcome to our November book talk on Maya Angelou's Letter to My Daughter. We're going to have a really good time digging into a little bit about Maya Angelou. She's such a convoluted person, I want to say, and I mean that because she has so many layers to her. She had so many things that she did in her career and in her life. So we're going to focus on her for more than definitely 1 month. We're going to visit her again next month. But for this week, we're going to talk about her as a poet, as a mother, and just as a writer.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So she was born in 1928 on April the 4th in St. Louis, Missouri. But she was raised in St. Louis and in Stamps, Arkansas. And in Stamps, Arkansas, she talks about the racial discrimination that she faced there, that it was a really hard time for her, but it created her to be the woman that we know. So I'm just going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to start on page 5. I'm going to read a little bit about what she wrote, because the beauty in this book is that it is written autobiographically with some things that are fictional. But it says, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but from the age of 3, I grew up in Stamps, Arkansas, with my paternal grandmother, Annie Henderson, and my father's brother, Uncle Willie, and my only sibling, my brother Bailey. At 13, I joined my mother in San Francisco. Later, I studied in New York City. Throughout the years, I have lived in Paris, Cairo, West Africa, and all over the United States. Those are the facts. But facts to a child are merely words to memorize. I'm gonna stop there. So she's going to start talking about Jimmy Thomas in the rest of that story, but she gives us a lot of her own truth in what she wrote. So again, I was saying that she had a lot of racial discrimination, and we just read how she did go to San Francisco with her mother, but that was a hard time for her, because anyone that knows her story, she was raped by her mother's boyfriend, and she was a mute for many years. She would not speak. This woman, we're going to hear her voice tonight, she would not talk. She was a self-selected mute based off of that trauma. And that's why when you read her work and some of the stories in here, just knowing that little bit of background, she's helping to, I think writing to her was therapeutic. She's helping to bring up those emotions and try to sense them out and make sense of them. Because anyone who's gone through something such as that, that's a lot. And she was a young girl when this happened to her, a young lady. So just keep that in mind as we move forward.
One thing, Professor, to keep in mind and remind me to keep in mind for you later. Her story, Reclaiming Southern Roots. I see a little link, in my view, a link with the story, Raising Southern Roots, with the introduction that you just read about her.
Oh, okay.
So I want to go back to that later about the roots part. So
perfect.
Just to remind me to do that.
I will remind you. I'm going to write it.
But not now. But not now.
I do not forget. Okay. So I am going to right now. We're going to hear Maya in her own words talk about her life. And so let's get the video started, and we're going to share the screen. Maybe. Yep, we are. I found it. You guys can see it, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I try to be as kind and fair and generous and respectful and courteous to every human being, seeing myself as him, not as his keeper, as her keeper, but really seeing myself. And that's no small matter. That's trying to be an American.
Maya Angelou, a legendary figure known for her 7 autobiographies that over a 50-year period challenged cultural disconnects, changed resistance, and social and political inequalities in America, has died at 86. Angelou was known widely as a writer and electrifying orator, but it was her early experience in the world of performance, dancing professionally and singing on the Calypso circuit that ripened the charisma she later used to connect with her audience as a poet, author, and playwright. Maya Angelou knew and lived life. From the streets of Harlem and San Francisco and performing with Billie Holiday and Alvin Ailey dancers to moments spent with heavily burdened leaders such as her friends Malcolm X and Barack Obama.
As a girl, Marguerite Ann Johnson endured trauma and abuse that actually led her to stop speaking. But as a performer and ultimately a writer, a poet, Maya Angelou found her voice.
Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
She spoke and understood the vernacular of the struggle and the King's English, artfully moving between the forms. She was part of the talented generation of 20th century Black writers, James Baldwin, Lorraine Hansberry, August Wilson, Langston Hughes, Toni Morrison, who captured the tribulation and the promise of Black life fearlessly, demystifying the experience in the context of the ongoing crusade for equality and understanding. But it was Maya Angelou who broke Black feminism into the mainstream with her bestseller, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. She's part of a generation of Black literary glitterati that, unlike today's celebrities, didn't relish in their fame or their fortune, but through style, elegance, and dignity, stayed true to the concept of using art for the larger purpose of giving power to the seemingly powerless, hope to the seemingly hopeless, with an authenticity that brought outsiders in and invited them to see a part of themselves through the lives of others.
If I had my druthers, I'd rather be born Black, American, female in the 20th century than I was. What a luck I have.
Okay. So isn't her voice, I just always have loved her voice. It's just so powerful and beautiful. I wanted to start with that little clip so that you could hear the beauty in her voice and also see the influence she had. She read at the 1993 inauguration of Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
The first Black woman to ever
Yeah.
do that, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
that's right. That's right.
Yes. So she has been around a long time. That was when I was in college, was I in college yet? Yeah, I was in college and she was one of my inspirations. All of my literature classes, a Maya Angelou poem or book would come up. So I'm just honored that we're going to be talking about her this month. She's one of my all-time favorites. It took me a couple years to get her on the docket, so I'm excited to do that. So she, again, as Barack Obama was saying, she's a poet, an author, a biographer, but she's also an activist, which we're not going to really talk about her activism a lot tonight. We'll be doing some more of that coming up, but it's just a beautiful woman as we see her here. And she had many decades, 50 years of writing. That's a long time to stay relevant. But she found her voice and she kept her voice out there, and she inspired many, many, many millions of people. So
I had a chance to meet her.
Oh, tell us.
I was sitting here trying to think when it was. It must have been in the 80s, the late 80s, maybe. I don't know if either one of you knew Joan Jackson. Her husband, Bernard Jackson, was over the Multicultural Center at ASU.
Oh, Bernie, yes.
I know her husband.
Bernie Jackson, yes.
I met her at their house.
Wow.
And she was a very easy person to talk to, but you know, we kind of reminisced because Arkansas is not that far from Mount Bayou, Mississippi,
Mhm.
because Arkansas and Mississippi, their borders kind of run together. They're up at the top or somewhere. But anyway, she talked about her childhood at that time. But I
Oh.
found her to be a very easy person to talk to. And after she left, I wrote a little note and thanked her for her kindness and all. And they actually sent me a letter. And I don't know where it is. It's in the garage somewhere, and it didn't hit me until we were talking. I'm thinking, I remember meeting her, and I
Yeah.
kept this letter because it was from Maya Angelou, and I figured over
Yes.
the years, you know, it would be even more precious. But she
Yeah,
was a very, very nice lady, easy to talk to.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, she's one of
Mhm.
my idols. I love her and miss
Do
her.
you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that Cage Bird Sings, I know why the Cage Bird Sings is one of the works that she is most popularly known for. And so just as we start into this study, because again, it's autobiographical, this book.
Oh, does the cage bird have anything to do with the abuse she went through?
Yes.
And
Yeah. So
okay,
we're gonna get yes, it definitely
okay,
does. Yeah, so let's read. I'm gonna read it to you guys.
okay.
Why the Cage Bird Sings. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the currents ends and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. That's the free bird. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bare bars of rage. His wings are clipped, his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing.
Hmm.
The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hills, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through singing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. I love that analogy there. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So isn't that beautiful? And just the analogies she's putting in there and the illusions, that grave of dreams, that reminds me of Langston Hughes's poem, The Dream Deferred, and the nightmare screams. But in
You know, when I was listening to you read that, and I thought this in a way is probably telling of how she felt the night that she was abused or the day after,
yeah,
and her inner feelings. There might have been something in there, but she couldn't say it. But
Mm-mm.
maybe
Right.
she was able to sing a little bit, and her voice was encaged within her.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but I know what I'm thinking and
I
trying
understand
to
what you're
say.
saying. Yes, all that was
Yeah.
pent up in her. It was,
Yes.
she was self-selected mute. She did not speak. I believe it was 5 years.
Right. Right. Well, it sent her into such shock
She was in
that
such shock. She couldn't let anything out.
yeah.
Uh, So those two birds in there, they represented freedom and oppression. One was a free bird, one was an oppressed bird. So it's there's so many layers, like I said, to her poetry. Definitely the
And
point.
in a lot of ways, the bird of oppression,
Mhm.
well, it could go either way. It could have been her once she had been abused, and freedom was the attacker, the person that abused her.
Uh-huh.
At that moment, they had their freedom, but afterwards, somewhere in a little dark corner or whatever. It had to hit that person, what they had done, and maybe in a way they were feeling oppressed, and they might have been oppressed inside from something that had happened to them already. So they take it out on somebody else.
Mhm. Exactly. Hi, Miss Ruth.
Hey, Miss
Hello
Ruth.
there. Sorry
Hello,
I'm late. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, don't be sorry. We're so happy to have you. Oh, wonderful.
I need my picture on.
Okay.
How do I get that on?
I don't know. Mine is up there, but I didn't put it up there when they helped
you
me
are.
set
There,
up the
there,
computer.
there you are.
Oh, there you are.
Open
There
eye.
you are.
Dr. Durkin got you up there.
The girl did
You
it.
look
Everybody's
great.
perfect.
It's a blessing to be here.
Wonderful
Yes.
to see you.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, Joanne, excellent points about those analogies of who those two birds could represent. A lot of people have also, we talked about how she went through that discrimination and oppression also. So they've talked about how that free bird, they relish in their freedom. They had choices, they had options, right? But that
Right.
oppressed bird had a voice, and from that voice, they say that Maya taught people in her activism, which we're not going to talk about too much, but she taught people to talk about their concerns, voice them, but also stand up. When you see something's wrong, stand up for what's right and not just let it pass away. And I think because of all that abuse that she suffered was why she was such an amazing activist, because she fought hard for those who were oppressed and she wasn't afraid. And I'm so happy that you met her so you can, kind of from your interactions, share with us what you learned from that. Did she at any time when you met with her talk anything about activism or freedom, or was she more relaxed?
And I was only in her presence that one night at Bernie and Jones' house. That was the only
Okay.
time I was actually in her presence.
Gotcha.
And I tell you, there were some other people there because it was like a reception for her. So I didn't really get to talk to her in depth about things like freedom and all of that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that is one of the most known poems that she wrote. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And she was that caged bird, but she was that free bird too, because she spread her wings and she did so much. Now, she was also, they talked about it in that film, she was a feminist. So another one of her books is Still I Rise. And I have a video clip I want to show you of a little girl who did her poem. There's a little girl that did it much better, but I could not find her clip. But I think this is awesome because she is still impacting, even though she had been around a while. I got to find the clip, but she impacted the younger generation. And I still teach courses in literature and in reading. And a lot of young girls still will tell me when I ask them, who's your favorite author? They connect with Maya Angelou because of the way that she's just so real in what she's saying and truly shares how she suffered. So a lot of young women still like her. So let's find that clip and share that with you guys. It's super cute. And bear with me. I'm doing a Google something this time, and so I forgot I have to be in another
How does this weird stone
to show it to you. So just a second. All right, here we go. So we're going to rewind it back to the beginning. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to see this cute little girl read this poem.
Trust me, you're going to love this. This is going to be very inspiring to Sydney to read. Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. Sydney, take it away.
Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trap me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sadness upset you? Why are you be stuck with gloom? Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lower eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it off for heart. Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I rise. Out of the huts of history shade, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide. Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Yeah. Oh, how sweet. Oh, my
That's
goodness.
so
I had to practice.
Did you?
cute. Okay, hold on.
What's your favorite line?
Oh, boy.
Let me get her off, but she is so cute.
Oh, 5 years old.
Yes, yes.
Oh, she
I wonder what her
understands.
favorite, I
Oh,
wonder
my
what she
goodness.
was gonna say her favorite line was.
I don't remember. I'll have to, I already closed it out. But
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
you can listen and tell
I
us
can listen to
later.
let y'all know. Still, I
Yeah.
just, this one touches me, no matter who I hear read it.
Mhm.
Something about the way she wrote this poem, you can
Mhm.
feel it. It just has so much feeling in it. The words
Mhm.
just, they move you, they stir you up inside.
Mhm.
That you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise.
Mhm.
Oh, I just,
Mhm.
when I think of this woman wrote these, oh my goodness, she's
Mhm. It's the story. It's the story of all women.
yeah,
And I want to make it, to me anyway, make it the women as the center point,
yeah,
because it's the story of all women,
yes,
regardless of socioeconomic background or age,
right.
regardless, but it's the story of women who rise above abuse, defeatism, sadness, poverty, whatever you want to call tragedies that make us become more powerful than the tragedy. We rise in spite of it, and maybe because of it, but at the same time, we cannot be defeated.
No, no.
And and that's what she says.
We can't, right. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, just
Yeah.
beautiful. Just beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I wanted to share those two because I didn't think it would do justice to talk about Maya Angelou without you guys hearing some of her beautiful works of poetry as we get more into her story. So she had one child. She had a son named Guy Johnson, and unfortunately, he had a lot of tragedy in his life. He was in a car accident, a very serious car accident at 17. His 4-year-old son was kidnapped. So he went through a lot of, he's passed. And he passed away at an early age, but she loved her son. And in fact, if we go into the book,
She talks about it in her book.
on page 23 and the section giving birth. My brother Bailey told me to keep my pregnancy a secret from my mother. He said she would take me out of school. I was very close to graduating. Bailey said I had to have a high school diploma before mother returned to San Francisco from the nightclub she and her husband owned in Nome, Alaska. I received my diploma on BJ Day, which was almost my stepfather's birthday. He had patted me on the shoulder that morning and said, "You are growing up and you're becoming a fine young woman. I thought to myself, I should. I am 8 months and 1 week pregnant. After a celebratory dinner celebrating his birthday, my graduation, and a national victory, I left a note on his pillow saying, Dad, I'm sorry to bring disgrace to the family, but I have to tell you that I am pregnant. I didn't sleep that night. I heard my dad go to his room about 3 a.m. When he didn't knock on my door immediately, I puzzled over whether he had even seen or read the note. There would be no sleep for me that night. At 8:30 in the morning, he spoke at my door. He said, Baby, come down and have coffee with me. By the way, I got your note. The sound of him walking away was not nearly as loud as the sound of my heart racing. Downstairs at the table, he said, I'm going to call your mother. How far along are you? I said, I have 3 weeks. He smiled. I'm sure your mother will be ready. Will be here today. Nervous and frightened are not the words which even barely describe how I was feeling. Before nightfall, my pretty little mother walked into the house. She gave me a kiss and looked at me. You're more than any 3 weeks pregnant. I said, no, ma'am, I'm 8 months and 1 week pregnant. She asked, who's the boy? I told her. She asked, do you love him? I said, no. Does he love you? I said, no. He's the only person with whom I have had sex, and we were together only one night. My mother said, there's no reason to ruin 3 lives. Our family is going to have a wonderful baby. She was a registered nurse, so when I began the labor, she shaved me, powdered me, and took me to the hospital. The doctor had not arrived. Mother introduced herself to the nurse and said that as a nurse herself, she was going to help with the delivery. She crawled up on the delivery table with me and had me bend my legs. She put her shoulder against my knee and told me dirty stories. When the pains came, she told me the punchline of stories. And as I laughed, she told me, bear down. When the baby started coming, my little mother jumped off the table, and seeing him emerge, she shouted, here he comes, he has black hair. I wondered what color she thought he might have. When the baby was delivered, my mother caught him. She and the other nurses cleaned him and wrapped him in a blanket, and she brought him to me. Here, my baby, here's your beautiful baby. My dad said that when she returned home, she was so tired, she looked as if she had given birth to quadruplets. She was proud of her grandson and proud of me. I never had to spend 1 minute regretting giving birth to a child who had a devoted family, led by a fearless, doting, and glorious grandmother. So I became proud of myself. A nice story. So that's her with her.
Just imagine how many young girls would
Oh, I know.
have a different life
Right.
if that had happened in their situation,
That's
you know?
true. Yes, yes, beautiful. Good point. So I wanted to share that. So that's what I'm going to do kind of with her. As I tell you, I'm going to tell you about her life and then share things from the story as we do this one. All right. So Maya is going to read to you the introduction to Letter to My Daughter. So that's the next one that we're going to share. And that starts on the page right after the table of contents, Letter to My Daughter, just in the introduction if you have the book. So let me get that one up.
The one that starts Dear Daughters
Yes.
on 11, Roman numeral 11.
11, yes. So let's get that one up, get the video for you, and we will watch Maya read this to us.
Melt into your holiday moments with Lindor.
Commercials. We don't want commercials. One moment. All right. Oops, it's already going. Nope, not yet. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Letter has taken an extraordinary time getting itself together. I have all along, dear daughter, this letter has taken an extraordinary time getting itself together. I have all along known that I wanted to tell you directly of some lessons I have learned and under what conditions I have learned them. My life has been long, and believing that life loves the liver of it, I have dared to try many things, sometimes trembling, daring still. I have only included here events and lessons which I have found useful. I have not told how I have used the solutions, knowing that you are intelligent and creative and resourceful, and you will use them as you see fit. You will find in this book accounts of growing up, unexpected emergencies, a few poems, some light stories to make you laugh, and some to make you meditate. There have been people in my life who meant me well, taught me valuable lessons, and others who meant me ill, and have given me ample notification that my world is not to be all peaches and cream forever. I have made many mistakes and no doubt will make more before I die. When I have seen pain, when I have found that my ineptness has caused displeasure, I have learned to accept my responsibility and to forgive myself first, then to apologize to anyone injured by my misreckoning. Since I cannot unlive history, and since repentance is all I can offer God, I have hopes that my sincere apologies were accepted. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Do not complain. Make every effort to change things you do not like. If you cannot make a change, then change the way you've been thinking. You may find a new solution. Never whine. Whining lets a brute know that a victim is in the neighborhood. Be certain that you do not die without having done something wonderful for humanity. I gave birth to one child, a son, but I have thousands of daughters. You are Black and white, Jewish and Muslim, Asian, Spanish speaking, Native American, and Aleut. You are fat and thin and pretty and plain, gay and straight, educated and unlettered. And I am speaking to you all. Here is my offering to you.
All right. Just beautiful. Anyone want to share what they thought of that introduction that she put? So many key things are in there.
Professor,
Yes.
when I read that, I remembered reading the women that she named that she was a mother to.
Yes.
And she says that she has been a mother because these women have allowed her to be their mother.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah Winfrey, Rosa Johnson Butler, Lydia Stuckey, Valerie Simpson, and Constance Riley. So while we may not know everyone, I had to look up some of these women that I did not know. Others I did know.
Right.
So how she is describing that she has been a mother to women.
Yes.
And if you know who these women are, she's thanking to allow her to have been a mother to them. She uses mother as a symbol, or maybe as you use that word analogy to say that we are all mothers, Mother Earth,
right,
Mother Nature, Mother God, whatever. We are all the mothers of the world, and so therefore we are of the world. And she is trying to explain her use of that word mother, and thanks us, the reader, or thanks us, her friend, or thanks us, the woman, for allowing her to be a mother.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I see myself as her daughter as she wrote this.
Exactly. And because she did not have a daughter,
right,
and she names these women who are of importance.
I
think the one woman that I probably knew a little bit about was Valerie Simpson.
She's from,
Yeah, and she's from the duet, the very popular Ashford and Simpson.
Simpson. I thought so, yeah.
And to know anything about Valerie Simpson as a writer, as a singer, as a performer, and how she and her husband became so well known because of their music and their words, and how other singers and other performers performed their songs that were made famous by Berry Gordy and Motown.
Right.
And how some of the other singers stole her words and claimed her words as their words. That happened to Valerie Simpson.
Wow.
And I won't say who did it, but you'll know the minute I mention the woman's name. But anyway, to get back to the analogy of Maya being the mother to a daughter, she's including the mother-daughter together. She's the mother, we are the daughter, but at the same time, the daughter will become the mother.
Right, right.
So,
To mentor those, to build people up. She's just brilliant,
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I always wondered, obviously she has always been featured on Oprah's show.
Yes, yes.
And we already know about the civil rights leader that she mentions. At least I remember reading about her and studying her as well. And Dorothy Height, who just recently passed away, I believe at the age of 98, maybe 99.
Wow.
And how she was honored by President Obama later in her life, but she was very, very important in the civil rights movement in the early 60s, Dorothy Height. But at the same time, these other women that she mentions, I think they should be the women that we learn to study and read about, because she knew them.
She knew them. And she, beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. I like what she wrote here on, also on page 11, on the other side, on the second part of there. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. I think that says a lot, because she went through a lot. She was a self-selected mute because of the abuse. She did not choose to let that hold her and keep her down. She really became something. She, I mean, she spoke at Bill Clinton's inauguration. She read. She did not let that circumstance keep her from becoming the voice that she became for the world. And I think that's what I get the most out from her. And I think why a lot of young women relate to her is because we go through things, but we can't let it reduce us. Still we rise, right? That we go to her poem, Still I Rise. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but like dust, still I rise. So just beautiful. I mean, you can see so many correlations with what she writes. Everything is weaved together, because this is the core of who Maya Angelou is. She doesn't contradict herself ever. She stays with what she means. So she's beautiful, just beautiful. As you guys see, I like her a little bit, huh?
Well, I don't know why she was in Arizona, Joanne, that you met her. Do you remember? Do you remember why she came to Phoenix, Joanne?
Well, yeah, Bernie's wife, Joan Jackson, was an English instructor at Mesa Community College.
Oh.
And you know, she taught literature and stuff like that. And so she had brought her to town, and I don't remember the exact name of the function, but that's why she was in town. Yeah, yeah. And I got to meet her because Joan and Bernie were my son's godparents. And when we first moved here, Joan was the one that helped me find a location. Well, helped my husband and I find a location for a house. And we were just close friends, you know. They my son's godparents. And so she had this event going on at her house, and she told me, oh, you would like this lady to come. And I can't remember what all she said back in the 80s, but that was why she was here and that I was able to be there at that time.
I was also there.
Ruth, did you know Bernie and Joan Jackson?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You said you were also there?
Very close friends.
Yeah.
Association was many, many times
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
together.
Very
Wonderful.
nice people.
That's great. I want to go to one more story, to tell the truth, which is on page 37. We'll do this one. And I'll read some of it. Because my mother, Vivian Baxter, warned me often not to believe that people really want the truth when they ask you, how are you? That question.
I remember this now.
She said that question was asked around the world in thousands of languages, and most people knew that it's a simple conversation starter. No one really expects to be answered or even wants to know. My knees felt like they were broken and my back hurt so bad I could fall down and cry. A response like that would be a conversation stopper. It would end before it could begin. So we all say, fine, thank you, and you. I believe in that way, we learn to give and receive social lies. We look at people who have lost dangerous amounts of weight or who have added ungainly pounds, and we say, you're looking good. Everybody knows the statement is a blatant lie, but we all swallow the untruth, in part to keep in peace, and in part because we do not wish to deal with the truth. I wish we could stop the little lies. I don't mean that the one has to be brutally frank. I don't believe that we should be brutal about anything. However, it is a wonderfully liberating to be honest. One does not have to tell all that one knows, but we should be careful. What we do say is truth. What do you guys think about that, which she wrote? I think that's a really good point, and I think it was important she put it in this book. What do you all think? And my cat is meowing a lot, so let me let him out, and something's going on real quick.
I think in a couple of stories, including this one, she's talking about a younger generation and the lifestyle, not the lifestyles, but she's just talking about a different generation than her generation. And this generation, being young students or young people, are different. Everything's different about them. Their lifestyles, their hairstyles, their clothing, their manner, their speech. And I think for her, she was not raised to be like that. She was raised to be a young lady, a respectful yet woman. She was raised to have manners. She was raised to be polite. And so she's making fun of the fact that we're not being polite by lying about saying, how are you? You should be truthful. But at the same time, she wants to tell these young people, look, grow up, look better, comb your hair, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But she doesn't.
She doesn't.
I wonder what she was saying, and with this generation we're going through now.
I know. Good. Let's read a little bit more. Let us say bravely to our young women that raggedy hairstyle may be trendy, but it's also unattractive. It is not doing anything for you. And let us say to our young men, your shirt tail hanging out from under your jacket does not make you look cool. It makes you look unkept and uncared for.
Well, she didn't mince with her words.
She did not. But I think, Maya Angelou is all about the truth. She speaks truth. She speaks her truth, whether you like it or not. She stood for what she stood for. She, that's what they said, that caged bird, when they found his voice, what did he do? He spoke up for what was right. She has her voice. She sings. She's that caged bird, maybe she has had oppression, but that caged bird can certainly tell the truth. So again, it ties into that poem. I can see a connection there. But that's the type of stories that are in this little book. It's just full of wisdom. I just love it. I'm going to buy it as presents for my family, for gifts for Christmas, because I think
that's nice.
Tidbits in here.
Very nice. Very nice.
Speak a lot. They speak a lot.
Very nice. And the students or the young people that she wrote about in this story, I suppose at some point in time in their advancement in their lives or their career or their education, they might have taken classes. They
Right.
have read about her or read her stories or her poetry. So it's possible. It's possible that happened. It's possible that this generation that she's criticizing is a different generation now.
Right.
And they're better.
Right. Right.
Uh-huh.
Good point. Good point.
I don't know where you can see that this generation is better. They
Mhm.
won't even speak to you even if you see them. Walk
Mm.
around you like you are nobody.
Non-existent.
Mm.
And this is this generation
We have to teach them.
that have no polite way or manners to respect people in
You
their
know,
life.
and it's
Mm.
getting worse, Miss Ruth, because of the isolation. A lot of them, they just go on their phones. You just see them on this or on a computer screen, and they don't know how to interact socially when you put
Mhm.
them into a social situation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I don't think they're being taught that because they're playing games and watching
Watching
stories
right,
that don't
right.
emphasize
Empathy,
politeness.
empathy, and yeah, good, good,
Mhm.
good, 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 good point. See, she's
Mhm.
just so deep. I mean, you cover.
I've even seen young people in the store
Uh-huh.
that if you buy a certain vegetable, they didn't know what it was. You have to look it up.
You have to look up what that is. Wow,
Mm.
wow, that's sad. I can believe it though. I can believe. Well, that's where we're gonna end tonight, because you all get a gift since you came. I'm gonna mail all of you, her Christmas poem, Amazing Grace, which will go on December the
Oh,
28th,
oh, very,
5 o'clock. And then we're gonna finish up the book. I wanted to give you guys some time to, read the rest of these little, they're very short. Like, I mean, what I read, that's like a whole chapter. They're very, very short, little stories, and she had some poetry in here also. But
Very-
it is
very nice. Thank you.
amazing.
I've read the book, part of it, and
Yes,
I think she is a year older or younger than I am.
you are. Yeah, because she's passed, right?
And
Wow.
that
Uh-huh.
we as women, have lived a lifestyle similar to her lifestyle.
Wow, that's great.
Mhm.
It was very interesting to me when I was raising my family, that she had beautiful programs on television. She told you how to write. She told you how there were just good things that you needed to know about her teaching.
Uh-huh.
But she had good classes.
Wow, I didn't know
And
that.
I took a lot of as a matter of fact, I took all of her classes.
That's
That's
great.
And
Nice.
she was very well shaped. She loved to wear sweaters and blouses. And of course, that was in our generation
Yes,
Mhm.
that we wore those kind of clothing.
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful.
Oh.
I'm impressed. Well, you guys,
But
oh, sorry, honey.
I can't remember the film that she was in, the movie that she was in.
Porgy and Bess, we're gonna talk about those next time, but she was in the play Porgy and Bess, and I think she was in another movie. You're right. She was in Roots. She was in quite a few. So we're gonna get to her movies next time.
Well, it was one of the movies that they were having a reunion, and all of the young people came to listen to her. And I thought that was the most
Mm.
Oh,
Mhm.
kind of activity that she was able to reach a large number
larger,
of
gotcha.
young people.
Right.
Mhm,
I think which
mhm.
one you're thinking of. Wow. Okay.
But I
Oh,
don't know if
I
they
think it
really
was-
know.
I
I
think
don't
it was
believe
Poetic
they know.
Justice.
I don't
think-
believe they know today
Mhm.
that she lived.
Yeah.
But when I read I Will Rise, it
Yes.
indicated to me that it was all of us,
All of
men
us.
and women, and
Yes.
especially those of us of African American.
Yes. I think
That
the
was identity for our lives.
Mhm. Miss Ruth, I think it was Poetic Justice that they came to our house to hear her read. The movie with Tupac and Janet Jackson. I think that's the one you're talking about, where she was the lady that would come to her house to hear her. I think that's the movie. I'm gonna look for the clip and I'll play it next time if that's it. I think that's what the one you're talking about. She was in that movie. Thank you for sharing that perspective. You guys all look for your book. It will come, I'm gonna order them tomorrow, so you should have it by the weekend. It's a children's book and it's beautiful. So I appreciate you all being here. Our next meeting will be the 28th at 5 o'clock, so right after the holiday.
Good, okay.
All right, so we can stop recording. Thank you.